When I say we brought in Senate fiscal staff, Senate legal. We worked with the Pawtucket legal team, their financial people, the PawSox legal team, their financial people, and we've restructured that in a way that means that the state's not backstopping it anymore. Instead, the city of Pawtucket has pledged its state aid to support any shortfall that might arise in the payment of those debt services. We've excluded, for instance, school aid from that, but we calculated that there's more than sufficient state aid that the city of Pawtucket will get during that time period, essentially to cover any shortfall if there is one. Additionally, what we did is we structured it in such a way that we gave the Pawtucket Redevelopment Agency the benefit of the state's higher credit rating. We did that through an agreement between the state of Rhode Island and the Pawtucket Redevelopment Agency that sort of acts as a pass-through so that purchasers of those bonds will be looking at the state's credit rating. So what we did is strike a balance or a new structure where the Pawtucket Redevelopment Agency gets the benefit of that state's enhanced tax and enhanced credit rating, but ultimately it's the city's tax dollars that will be responsible. And this restructuring, while providing that benefit of the enhanced credit rating to the redevelopment agency, ultimately saves $14 million in the deal because of that. So we think that's a significant improvement, and that's one of the things we were looking for. One of the goals we had before we were ready to introduce the bill. We think we're there.
Explain that $14 million. Who's saving the $14 million?
Sure. Well, actually the overall transaction, but particularly the cost on the Series C's bonds. If you were to look at, for instance, the probable credit rating of the Pawtucket Redevelopment Agency when it goes to sell its bonds in the market, and the credit rating that the state of Rhode Island enjoys in the market, the credit rating in the state of Rhode Island is significantly better. So by getting that better credit rating, you get a much better deal when you go to market on the bonds, and over the lifespan of the bonds being paid back, we calculate that to be about a $14 million savings in the whole deal.
So the interest would have been higher if they had been at their regular credit
rating. The debt service would have been significantly higher.
So give us the numbers. If the PRA issued the bonds over 30 years, it would cost what to pay them back? And if with the state's credit rating, it would cost Y?
The spread in the legislation looks at it between about 4 and 5%. We won't know exactly the percentage change until the bonds actually go to market. But based on the analysis that was essentially done on our side, along with the fiscal analysis done by the other stakeholders, we think that it's conservative, safe to say that that's about a $14 million in savings. It could be even more, who knows?
But give us a top dollar amount. How can you say you're saving $14 million if you can't tell us how much it'll cost to pay off the bonds?
Well, you look at the debt service, right?
Yes, but what is it?
So if the debt service for the redevelopment agency is issuing it frankly a much higher interest rate that they have to pay back, the debt service is much higher. So
give us the X and the Y. What would it be if the PRA versus if you're doing it with the state backing?
Steve, do you remember the final numbers on that? I'll be honest, I don't remember the final numbers on it. I remember the spread. I'm sorry, I don't remember the spread, but I do remember the spread. I don't remember the final numbers on it.
Mr. Chairman, how do you transfer